Alright, hello everyone, it's TWOTE again. Got a video to do today. Another video idea I'm going to do today. So, this is going to be another devotional kind of reading and study, I guess. For me, it's going to be, for today, we're going to be back with Leviticus. I kind of don't know where I ended on that, because I haven't been reading my Bible every day, like I ought to be. Just been a little bit stressed out, kind of, but trying to get through that. But anyway, we're going to be reading, we're going to be reading that. We're going to be reading out of context. If I can figure out where I ended on that. We're going to be reading, I'm going to be reading, I'm just saying weird because this is a video I'm sharing to y'all, so y'all going to be kind of getting what I'm getting into. We're doing Encountering the Old Testament, my college book. It's a really big book. I'm on chapter 1 still, I think. And then going to be back on the Enneagram. So, y'all know on my third channel called TWOTE Palmer Turk that I have parts 1 and 2. I mean, 3 parts really about the Enneagram. Because tomorrow I got to give it back to Robert Cochran. I've been borrowing it from my West counselor. My counselor, his name is Robert Cochran. So I got it from him like last Wednesday, and so I got to return it to him tomorrow. If I can order that book and the Christian view on that one that he has at his office, I'm gonna get those. Probably get some Lancaster Bible College mugs, and I'm not sure what else really, because I don't want to be spending too much of my money. Trying to learn how to save it more, but yeah. So I'm just gonna. And really, you should probably pray before you read the Bible. Let's see if we're good to do that. So I guess we'll pray real quick. Dear Lord, I thank you for this day. Thank you for let me do some lightsaber duels today, like that I've done. Trying to react them, even though I really mess the floor because I keep falling down the floor. Trying to be the character like that, and then just help me have a good, first assignment for April 1st tomorrow. For week 4, and then a good Zoom meeting on Thursday, the next day, and just help me and Dad to do 2 more assignments tomorrow. Help me have a good reading today in my books, my 4 books. Help the internet to learn something from this. Just the people who watch this video, help them to learn something from this video. That's what I say in Jesus' name, amen. All right, since we did that, now we're good to start. I'm going to start, y'all, so we'll go ahead and get right into the Bible. So, yeah, and right here, this is my Lancaster Bible College handbook / notebook. It's my pen. I've got a lot of kind of stuff in here. There's a lot of personal stuff, so I won't be showing you all this kind of stuff because it's a lot of personal stuff, just for prayer life. If you want to see some of this stuff, you can see it. I'll show it. If you don't want to see it, I won't show it. But just leave a comment and suggestion. Do you want to see what's in here? Because this is more so my journal. So I probably won't be showing you this anyways. Y'all don't need to be seeing this. It's not inappropriate stuff. It's just my personal notes for me personally as a person. So, yeah. And then, of course, we're going to be reading this one secondly. I've counted on my chapter, I think 7. The last chapter is 7. I have 8 chapters. I don't remember, but there's that book. I've got my NIV study Bible from Zonder Ben. I've already showcased this Bible, and if I haven't already shown you my ESV, I probably should show you that too. This is my English Standard Version Bible. It's humongous. Not sure if I've even seen it before, but I haven't been reading this one because I'm actually in Leviticus on this one. I haven't started this one just to read this one really. I use it for my college assignments though. More so I just use the ESV online, the actual book itself, but same kind of reading, same kind of language, same kind of context as any kind of Bible would be. It's just that's the way that the words read, and that version probably even more than I like NIV too though, but we're going to start with NIV, and I need to get up my OT books real quick before we do that because I know that I got some other books I'll be reading to today. Because today is actually the last day I can use the wisdom of the Enneagram. So I gotta finish chapter 2 out this video, hopefully, for y'all. This is the book I'm talking about. I'm gonna be ordering it probably as soon as I possibly can. just 2 books probably, and a couple of coffee mugs, and just cups from LBC if I can. Probably just 2 things or 3 things from LBC, and like 2 books. Just leave it at that, If my dad will let me, he says that I can't be spending anything because he's trying to teach me how to save more. But I probably will save, so I do want to get these books as soon as possible. Not these, just this book in the Christian perspective on Enneagram. He said he ordered them from Amazon. Robert Cochran did, so I'll be ordering from there too. Here's this book. I'm not sure if I've already showcased this book in a video before. If I haven't, I probably should. I think I already did. So if I did, I think it's on one of my videos. You can see I already watched that one too. This was sent to me by LBC. It's for my Course 5 curriculum. So yeah, just gonna read it anyway though. All right. Well, let's start with this one. Okay, I think I'm starting chapter 24 today, which says olive oil and bread set before the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "Command the Israelites to bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, so that the lamps may be kept burning continually. Outside the curtain that shields the Ark of the Covenant law into a meeting, Aaron is to attend the lamps before the Lord from evening till morning, continually. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. The lamps on the pure gold lampstand before the Lord must be tended continually." Take the finest flour and bake 12 loaves of bread, using 2/10 of an ephah for each loaf. Arrange them in 2 stacks, 6 in each stack, on the table of pure gold before the Lord. By each stack put some pure incense as a memorial portion to represent the bread and to be a food offering presented to the Lord. This bread is to be set out before the Lord regularly, Sabbath after Sabbath, on behalf of the Israelites, as a lasting ordinance, as a lasting covenant, I meant to say, is what it says in the book. It belongs to Aaron and his sons, who are to eat it in the sanctuary area, because it is a most holy part of their perpetual share of the food offerings presented to the Lord. So, I'm not sure what it says about this, if anything. Okay. Next up, a blasphemer put to death. Now the son of an Israelite mother and an Egyptian father went out among the Israelites, and the fight broke out in the camp between him and an Israelite. The son of the Israelite woman blasphemed the name of it with a curse, so they brought him to Moses. His mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Dibri the Danite. They put him in custody until the will of the Lord should be made clear to them. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Take the blasphemer outside the camp. All those who heard him are to lay their hands on his head, and the entire assembly is to stone him." So to the Israelites, anyone who curses their God will be held responsible. Anyone who blasphemes the name of the Lord is to be put to death. The entire assembly must stone them, whether foreigner or native born. When they blaspheme the name, they are to be put to death. Anyone who takes the life of a human being is to be put to death. Anyone who takes the life of someone's animal must make restitution, life for life. Anyone who injures their neighbor is to be injured in the same manner. Fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. The one who has inflicted the injury must suffer the same injury. Whoever kills an animal must make restitution, but whoever kills a human being is to be put to death. You are to have the same law for the foreigner and the native born. I am the Lord your God. And then Moses spoke to the Israelites, and they took the blasphemer outside the camp and stoned him. The Israelites did as the Lord commanded Moses. It says right here, 24 verses 19 and 20, when it says eye for eye, and the commentary notes, they say, this law is also found in Exodus 21, 23 to 25. Its purpose is not to require the injured party to inflict equal bodily harm on the one who had injured him, but to restrict him from inflicting greater harm than he received. And 24:22, the same law. These laws are repeated here in order to answer the question of whether these laws apply to non-Israelites. The answer is yes. They also apply to the stranger in the land. All right, so that was Leviticus chapter 24. All right. Now we're going into end of context, chapter 7, somewhere in there, somewhere towards the end. I think. You know, I'm not even really quite sure. I might even just try to read the whole thing, y'all. I don't know. Because I'm getting kind of close, but not really. Well, I think I'm on ignoring the acknowledged diversity of interpreters and interpretation. So here we go. Here we go, guys and girls. I mean, guys and gals. I guess you could say guys and gals. But anyhow, here we go. It is likely that each of us have found ourselves at some time in a group Bible study where various opinions about the meaning of a biblical text were shared. Sometimes these individual comments are provoked by the question, what does this verse mean to you? Often the person in charge. Today, the preferred designation is discussion leader. Makes no effort to distinguish between interpretive suggestions that are likely or plausible and those that are unlikely or really off the wall. Instead, each participant is similarly affirmed. That's a great idea. Oh, I never thought of that. Such an approach to the biblical study is quite common and can lend support to the conclusion that there is no one correct interpretation of a biblical text to be found. Sociologist Christian Smith has recently described the state of contemporary evangelical hermeneutics as resulting in pervasive interpretive pluralism. Recent hermeneutical theorists have gone beyond such absurd popular pluralism to set forth the implications of postmodernism for biblical interpretation. They speak of the perspectival nature of truth, asserting that truth is subjective rather than objective. The foundational role of the reader then is not simply to discover meaning, but rather to make meaning. Got that? This book is pretty tough to understand, but the more you dive into it and read it and study, the more you'll get out of it for application. think. For yourself, I think. Generating mutually exclusive interpretations becomes a good thing rather than a problem. Postmodernists emphasize the ambiguity of the biblical text, leading to the conclusion that there is no one correct interpretation. Instead, they either assert that the divine author intended multiple meanings or jettison the original human author's intention as irrelevant, thus claiming that one interpretation is correct and another incorrect is viewed as an arrogant power grab. Some postmodernists even downplay the importance of the traditional interpretive task. That is not right. Well, that's just, I'll keep reading that. As Old Testament scholar Doug Ingram expresses it, I do not think we always need to seek for the meaning of the biblical text. Reading the Bible is not always about what it means to the reader. Sometimes it is about what it does to the reader. All this prompts the question of whether I have any warrant for my claim that some interpretations are incorrect. Despite the risk of offering too brief a series of responses to a complex and much debated issue, I will defend my approach on the basis of several considerations. First, even when those who argue that a specific biblical text can support more than one meaning or prompt a plurality of viable applications, are not promoting interpretive anarchy. To claim that a text means more than one thing is not to claim that it can mean anything. Second, according to Old Testament scholar John Goldingay, some parts of Scripture are characterized by having more than one meaning or being irrevocably ambiguous. In fact, in his opinion, this is true of all biblical texts to some degree. Alright, so I'm going to be ending, up here at the very beginning of the page where the period is right there. You can see that. But, anyhow, this was out of context. And now we're going to be moving on to 4th edition, Encountering the Old Testament, a Christian Survey, Encountering Biblical Studies, Bill T. Arnold, Brian E. Beer. So this is the book we're talking about right here. Here's the back of it. Actually, I haven't really read the back of it that much. But, so... We're still in chapter 1. Okay. Textual transmission. How did we get the Bible? We can read the Bible today with confidence because of the faithful work of many individuals over many generations. These individuals, called scribes, copied God's word by hand, taking great care to maintain its accuracy. Scribal care of the Old Testament text described in the ancient world. Scribes played a crucial role in the ancient world. The faithful transmission of accurate information was an important aspect of society. Kings counted on scribes to record loyal edicts, and administrative officials needed scribes to record significant business transactions. Mistakes could have serious implications, political, economic, or otherwise. The scribes who copied the biblical texts believed they were copying the very words of God. Consequently, they took great care to preserve the copies they had received. One of the most important groups of scribes was the Masoretes. The Masoretes normally dominated 500 to 1,000 worked to preserve the Old Testament text they had received. They want to ensure an accurate understanding of the text and its faithful transmission to subsequent generations. The Masoretes received their name from the Masorah, a complex system of markings they developed to achieve their purpose. The Masoretes took 3 significant steps to ensure textual accuracy. First, they developed a system for writing vowels. Until this time, written Hebrew contained only consonants, though by this time a few consonants were sometimes used to indicate certain vowels. The Masoretes developed this vowel system to preserve in written form the oral tradition they had received from earlier generations. Second, the Masoretes developed a system of accents for the Hebrew text. These accents assisted the reader in pronouncing the text, but also showed how it describes his understanding of the relationship of various words and phrases in sentence to one another. Thus, they helped to clarify many difficult passages. Third, the Masoretes developed a system of detailed notes on text. These notes provide a means to check the accuracy of a copied text. Today, we can produce identical manuscripts on a computer or copier, but the Masoretes had to produce them by hand. The Hebrew word for scribe means counter. The Masoretes counted everything in the text. They knew, for example, that the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, contains 4,945 Hebrew letters. They knew that the Torah's middle word was the Hebrew word translated inquired in Leviticus 10:16. They knew the Torah's middle letter was in the Hebrew word translated belly in Leviticus 11:42. While such knowledge may seem traveled to us, the Masoretes considered much information vital to their careful preservation of the biblical text. We benefit greatly from their diligent work. Alright, so that's some more of chapter 1. This was chapter 2. Chapter 1, part 2. Yeah, so. And then now I got a Enneagram. We're still in this book right here. And I'm sadly not going to be able to finish it before I have to return it to Robert. So I'm buying it probably because I got a new card, but I'm going to have to probably ask my dad and mom to put that first before I go about doing that, because they're going to be like, you need to save it. So we'll have to talk to y'all about that later. Yeah. Anyhow, gosh. Yeah, so here we go with the second page from, I think. I started chapter 2 on Sunday. Today's Tuesday, so here's a quote on the second page. Take the understanding of the East and knowledge of the West, and then seek. Gurdjieff. The one that here says, remember yourself always and everywhere. Again, by Gurdjieff. And then here we go with the text here of this book. There is no question, however, that the person responsible for bringing the Enneagram symbol to the modern world was George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. Gurdjieff was a Greek Armenian born around 1875. As a young man, he became interested in esoteric knowledge and was convinced that a complete science for transforming the human psyche had been developed by the ancients, but that this knowledge had subsequently been lost. Along with a handful of friends who shared his passion for recovering this lost science of human transformation, Gurdjieff spent the early part of his life attempting to piece together whatever ancient wisdom he could find. Together, these friends formed a group called the Seekers After Truth, CAT, and decided that they would each explore different teachings and systems of thought independently and then regroup periodically to share what they had learned. They traveled widely, visiting Egypt, Afghanistan, Greece, Persia, India, and Tibet. Spending time in monasteries and remote sanctuaries, learning everything they could about ancient wisdom traditions. Somewhere in his travels, possibly in Afghanistan or Turkey, Gurdjieff encountered the symbol of the Enneagram. Thereafter, he developed his own synthesis of what he and other CAT members had discovered. He ended his many years of searching just before World War I and began teaching in St. Petersburg and Moscow, immediately attracting an enthusiastic audience. The system that Gurdjieff taught was a vast and complex study of psychology, spirituality, and cosmology that aimed at helping students understand their place in the universe and their objective purpose in life. Gurdjieff also taught that the Enneagram was the essential and most important symbol in his philosophy. He stated that a person did not understand anything completely until he or she understood it in terms of the Enneagram. That is, until he or she could correctly place the elements of a process at the correct points on the Enneagram, thereby seeing the interdependent and mutually sustained parts of the whole. The Enneagram taught by Gurdjieff was therefore primarily a model of natural processes, not a psychological typology. Gurdjieff explained that the Enneagram symbol has three parts that represent three divine laws, which govern all of existence. The first of these is the circle, a universal mandala used in almost every culture. The circle refers to unity, wholeness, and oneness, and symbolizes the idea that God is one, the distinguishing feature of the major Western religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Within the circle, we find the next symbol, the triangle. Traditionally, in Christianity, this refers to the Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Similarly, the Kabbalah, an esoteric teaching of Judaism, teaches that God initially manifests himself in the universe as three emanations or spheres: the Sephirot, Kether, Bani, and Chokmah, namely the Kabbalah's principal symbol, the tree of life. So I'll read probably the rest of this if I can. We can also see reflections of the Trinitarian idea in other religions. The Buddhists talk about Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The Hindus talk about Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, and the Taoists talk about heaven, earth, and man. Quite strikingly, almost all the major world religions teach that the universe is a manifestation of not of duality, as much of Western logic teaches, but of Trinity. Our usual way of looking at reality is based on pairs of opposites, such as good and bad, black and white, male and female, introvert and extrovert, and so forth. The ancient traditions, however, do not see man and woman, but man, woman, and child. Things are not black or white, but black, white, and gray. Gurdjieff called this phenomenon the law of three, and said that everything that exists is the result of the interaction of three forces, whatever they may be in a given situation or dimension. Even the discoveries of modern physics seems to support the idea of the law of three. On the subatomic scale, atoms are made of proteins, electrons, and neutrons, and rather than there being four fundamental forces of nature, as was once thought, physics has now discovered that there are really only three: the strong force, the weak force, and electromagnetism. Electromagnetism. The third part of this triple symbol is the hexad, the figure tracing the numbers 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, 7. This figure symbolizes what Gurdjieff called the law of seven, which has to do with process and development over time. It states that nothing is static. Everything is moving and becoming something else. Hope you get that, but get that. It's right here in this book, so I'm going to keep reading. Hope you all are understanding just as much as I'm understanding this, hopefully. I mean, I'm getting something out of it. I hope y'all are too, so we're going to keep continuing here. Even rocks and stars eventually become transformed. Everything is changing, recycling, and evolving or devolving. Although in lawful and predictable ways, according to their own nature and the forces that are acting on them. The days of the week, the periodic table, the Western musical octave are all based on the law of seven. When we put these three elements together, the circle, the triangle, and the hexad, we get the Enneagram. It is a symbol that shows so here's three parts of the Enneagram. So circle, triangle, and the hexad. This is a symbol that shows the wholeness of a thing. The circle, how its identity is the result of the interaction of the three forces. The triangle, how it evolves or changes over time. The hexad. So here's the 9. Oscar Child's Enneagram of the passion's daily sins. Number 1, anger. Number 2, pride. Number 3, deceit. Number 4, envy. Number 5, avarice. Number 6, fear. Number 7, gluttony. Number 8, lust. Number 9, sloth. Gurdjieff taught the Enneagram through a series of sacred dances. He explained that it should be thought of as a living symbol that was moving and dynamic, not as static. However, nowhere in the published writings of Gurdjieff and his students did he teach the Enneagram of personality types. The origins of that Enneagram are most recent and are based on two principal modern sources. The first is Oscar Echazo. Like Gurdjieff, as a young man, Echazo was fascinated with uncovering lost knowledge. In his childhood, he used his remarkable intelligence to absorb information from his uncle's vast library of philosophical and metaphysical texts. When Echazo was still fairly young, he traveled from his home in Bolivia to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and later to other parts of the world in search of ancient wisdom. After traveling in the Middle East and elsewhere, he returned to South America and began to distill what he had learned. Echazo researched and synthesized the many elements of the Enneagram until, beginning in the 1950s, he discovered the connection between the symbol and the personality types. The 9 types that he linked and with the Enneagram symbol come from an ancient tradition, remembering 9 divine attributes as they are reflected in human nature. These ideas begin with the Neoplatonists, if not earlier, and appeared in Platonicis, the Enneads, in the 3rd century of New Domini. They found their way into the Christian tradition as their opposites. The distortion of the divine attributes become the 7 deadly sins, or capital sins, or passions. plus two others, fear and deceit. Common to both the Enneagram and the 7 deadly sins is the idea that while we have all of them in us, one in particular crops up over and over and again. It is the root of our imbalance and the way we become trapped in ego. Chazo traced early ideas about the 9 divine attributes from Greece to the desert fathers of the 4th century who first developed this concept of the 7 deadly sins. And from there into medieval literature, including the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer and Dante's Purgatorio. Chazo also explored the ancient Jewish tradition of the Kabbalah. This mystical teaching was developed in Jewish communities in France and Spain in the 12th to 14th centuries of our era. Although it had antecedents in ancient Jewish mystical traditions as well as in Gnosticism and Neoplatonic philosophy, central to Kabbalistic philosophy is a symbol called the Tree of Life. That's Hayam, which like the so before it's time for my hearing because it's the thing about the 9 passions. So I'm going to reading that now before I get to the actual pages, the sentences and stuff like the text itself. The 9 passions. The idea of the deadly sins, also called the passions, is best understood if we think of the word sin not as something bad or evil, but as a tendency to miss the mark in some way. The passions represent the 9 main ways that we lose our center and become distorted in our thinking, feeling, and doing. Number 1, anger. This passion might be more accurately described as resentment. Anger in itself, it's not the problem, but in one's, the anger is repressed, leading to continual frustration and dissatisfaction with themselves and with the world. Number 2, pride. Pride refers to an inability or unwillingness to acknowledge one's own suffering. 2s deny many of their own needs while attempting to help others. This passion could also be described as vainglory, pride in one's own virtue. 3. Number 3, deceit. Deceit means deceiving ourselves into believing that we are only the ego itself. When we believe this, we put our efforts into developing our egos instead of our true nature. We can also call this passion vanity, our attempt to make the ego feel valuable without turning to our spiritual force. Number 4, envy. Envy is based on the feeling that something fundamental is missing. Envy leads 4s to feel that others possess qualities that they lack. 4s long for what is absent, but often fail to notice the many blessings in their lives. Number 5, avarice. 5s feel that they lack inner resources and that too much interaction with others will lead to catastrophic depletion. This passion leads 5s to withhold themselves from contact with the world. Thus, they hold on to their resources and minimize their needs. Number 6, fear. This passion might be more accurately described as anxiety because anxiety leads to us to be afraid of things that are not actually happening now. This is walk around in a constant state of apprehension and worry about possible future events. Number 7, gluttony. Gluttony or gluttony, I guess you can say it those ways, refers to the insatiable desire to fill oneself up with experiences. 7's attempt to overcome feelings of inner emptiness by pursuing a variety of positive, stimulating ideas and activities, but they never feel that they have enough. Number 8, lust. Lust does not only refer to sexual lust. 8s are lusty in that they are driven by a constant need for intensity, control, and self-extension. Lust causes 8s to try to push everything in their lives to assert themselves willfully. Number 9, sloth. Sloth does not simply mean laziness, since 9s can be quite active and accomplished. Rather, it refers to a desire to be unaffected by life. It is an unwillingness to arise with the fullness of one's vitality to fully engage with life. Alright? I'm going to go back to this. Which, like the Enneagram, contains the ideas of unity, trinity, and a process of development involving 7 parts. In a flash of genius, Ichazo was able to place all of this material properly in their right sequence on the Enneagram symbol for the first time in the mid-1950s. And then we have the Tree of Life, Etz Hayim. Shekhana. You got, I guess, Malkut, Yesod, Tiferet, Kether, Bana, Guvara, Hod, Hakma, Ezed, Natsah. I guess it's 10. I'm not sure that's all about, but okay. It was only then after different streams of transmission came together to form the basic template of the Enneagram as we know it today. In 1970, noted psychiatrist Claudio Naranjo, who was developing a program of Gestalt therapy at the Esalen Institute in Big Sur, California, and a number of other thinkers in the human potential movement traveled to Arsa, Shile to study with Ichazo. Ichazo was directing an intensive 40-day program that he had designed to lead students to self-realization. One of the first things he taught was an Enneagram together with the 9 types, or as he called them, ego fixations. The Enneagram immediately captivated a number of people in the group, particularly Naranjo, who returned to California and began to teach it in conjunction with other psychological systems that he had studied. Naranjo became interested in correlating the Enneagram types with the psychiatric categories he was familiar with, and he began to expand Ichazo's brief sketches of the types. One way he demonstrated the validity of the system was by gathering together panels of people who identified with a particular type, or whose psychiatric categories were known, interviewing them to highlight their similarities and to elicit further information. For instance, he would gather together all the people in this group who had obsessive compulsive personalities and observe how their responses fit with the descriptions of personality type 1 and so forth. Naranjo's method of using panels to understand types is not an ancient oral tradition as is sometimes claimed, nor does the Enneagram of personality come from a body of knowledge that has been passed down to us from an oral source. The use of panels began with Naranjo in the early 1970s, and is but one way of teaching, illuminating and illuminating the Enneagram. Naranjo began teaching an early version of the system to private groups in Berkeley, California, and it spread rapidly from there. The Enneagram was taught by enthusiasts in the San Francisco Bay area, as well as in Jesuit retreat houses across North America, where one of us, Don, then a Jesuit seminarian, learned the early material. Since the fundamental work of Ichazo and Naranjo, a number of others, including the authors who have been developing the Enneagram and discovering many new facets of it. Our work has primarily involved developing the psychological basis of the types by filling out the original, very brief descriptions and by showing how the Enneagram relates to other psychological and spiritual systems. Don's conviction has always been that until the descriptions of the types were fully and accurately worked out, the Enneagram would be of little real use to anyone, and would in fact become a source of misinformation and misguided attempts at growth. And a major breakthrough came in 1977 when he discovered the levels of development. What? I was definitely not appropriate when you do not know stuff. Y'all know that. I was take my notes, but sorry about that. I just got stuff in there that I don't like. When he discovered the levels of development, the levels revealed the gradations of growth and deterioration that people actually move through their lives. They showed which traits and motivations went with which types and why. Most profoundly, they indicated the degrees of our identification with our personality and our consequent lack of freedom. He also emphasized the psychological motivations of the types as distinct from the impressionist descriptions which were prevalent when he began working. He developed these and other ideas, such as the correlations with other psychological typologies, and presented his findings in Personality Types 1987 and in Understanding the Enneagram 1990. Rose joined Don in 1991, initially to assist in developing an Enneagram Type questionnaire, which ultimately began the Riso-Hudson Enneagram Type Indicator RHETI, and later worked on the Revisions on Personality Types 1996. Russ has brought his understanding and experience of the traditions and practices underlying Enneagram theory to this work. Subsequently, he further developed the ideas Don had pioneered, uncovering many of the deeper structures of the types as well as many of the system's implications for personal growth. Since 1991, both of us have been teaching workshops and seminars around the world, and many of the insights of this book have come from our experience of working with our students. We have had the privilege of working with people from every inhabited continent and from every major religious background. We continue to be amazed and impressed by the universality and practicality of the Enneagram. Of the Enneagram. And that was all of chapter 2. Oh my goodness, man! Gosh, dang it. Okay, well, I'm gonna pray to send this out. All right. Dear Lord, thank you for this devotional reading, this reading devotional and study and application. I guess if I got this, figure out how to apply that. Help other people can apply it to you who's watching. Help me and everyone to have a good rest of our days. In Jesus' name, amen. Me, a good rest of our day. I'm not going to say, but anyway. So that was this video. It's at 49 minutes, so it's almost an hour long. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Peace out.